With the inclusion of over 11,000 cards in the game between OCG and TCG, there are going to be a few problem cards like the one that's up on the screen. This is going to be my opinion on Dragoon of Red Eyes, or Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, as I've already spoken about the topic on El Shaddoll Winda back a few months ago. And with that statement still being there for Winda, it's not a problem. And look at where we are now, Winda really still isn't a problem. Now, people are saying that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is the problem, but I'm gonna here to say that it's not really a problem when you look at a front face. Even though I think it should be banned, I still don't think that it should be banned right now. Give it more time to see if it will still flood every single deck, if that's possible, if people are willing to take the 3 spaces just to run it. But let's get right into the discussion. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is a Towers-like card that says neither player can target this card with effects and it cannot be destroyed by card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. You can use this effect up to the number of times that you use the normal monster for the fusion summon of this card, and once per turn, discard 1 card. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it, and if you do that, it gains 1,000. So most times it's going to be at 4,000, and you get twice the chance to destroy a monster your opponent controls and burn the card. Burn your opponent for that card. Overall, in my eyes, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is only seen play in a few decks, not every deck. It's seen play in decks that need it, like Subterra deck. You also have Altergeist that plays it if they can summon it. Then you have the one-off builds or half builds of Virtual World that have it. Drytron used to play it, but they don't play it anymore. This card utterly warped the OCG format because they had multiple ways to get to it. Some of the cards that actually used were the Sky Striker engine with Kagari Engage, because they'd still have 2 Engage, Hornet Drone, and the Kagari. Also, other things that got limited over there because of this card being Trickstar Light Stage, because activate the Light Stage, make a set card not being able to activate, get your Candina, summon Candina, then get Corobane, and it was just a free way to get extra cards. Over there, this card warped the format so heavily that everything was running it, which is a scary thought, but when you look over here, all the top decks, only like 2 of them, 3 max, can actually use it to its full potential. But when you look at the decks that we have, Tri-Brigade, they're not going to run it. Prank Kids, not so much. Drytron, maybe 1 or 2 decks. Then you go into the tier 2s being Invoked Doll. They wouldn't run it because they have better cards to summon, but they could run it if they wanted to. Then you also have another fact of the Dragon Link deck that's there. They're not running it because they don't need it, and it interferes with what they do because they need every card as possible that they can get. And finally, you also have, I believe it was, I don't remember because there's so many decks this format that's topped, but overall, my opinion on the card before I get into why I think it's not is it's bannable, but not a problem. It's bannable because it is a Towers-like card. It's very, very heavy on what it does, and it does its job so well that people crying out to ban it, even though it really doesn't see much play. I do have to say that those people who cry out about every little thing kind of just needs to sit back and think. That's like saying and crying out for Winda, while we know Konami's not going to hit Winda because No matter how many cards has an out, it can still affect the game. Like one of my friends that I talk to a lot, he says that even though that a card has so many outs, it can move on the ban list, but why release something unfun? But on the topic of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, if it doesn't have the statistics to show that it is bannable, why ban it? Outside of the 3 cards that utilize with it, being Dragoon, Red Eyes Fusion, and Verte, people say ban each one. But when you look at it, if you ban Verte, you're hitting consistency of every single fusion deck that there is. They need that vital card if they need to function. Shaddolls don't really need it, but it's a nice option to have. You also have Prank Kids. They can run it if they want to get to their Prank Kid Pandemonium at their end of the combo, but they won't. Then you have other fusion decks here and there. Red Eyes Fusion. It hits one of the core essential pieces of Red Eyes, as they are a fusion and XZ deck. So there is that. Also, if you ban Verte, people are just going to run 3 Red Eyes Fusion, a Dark Magician, and a Red Eyes Black Dragon, just for Dragoon, along with a Magical Eyes Fusion, so they can use 2. And if you just straight up ban Dragoon, you don't have to ban the others and not worry about a thing. That's where my stance of banning Dragoon is. But one of the wonderful quotes that, not really a quote, it's more that one of the things that people have to think about it. What will affect the game more out of 3 cards? Dragoon, Red Eyes Fusion, or Verte? If you ban Verte, it affects the game a lot for quite a bit of decks. Red Eyes Fusion only hits 1 deck, and Dragoon takes the whole entire engine out of the deck, so they play other things. People will still try and find a way to hit or play Dragoon even with Red Eyes Fusion banned. You have things like Waking the Dragon and many other cards that can summon it, like Magical Eyes Fusion. Even Shaddolls can make it quite easily when you look at it, because you could just run things to get the cards to your graveyard with Magical Eyes Fusion. But overall, my opinion for this conversation is done. Dragoon, not going to get banned. If you guys think it's going to get banned, just keep your eyes out, because it won't. It's not a problem at the end of the day. You just have to think smarter and actually reason out and use critical thinking. But anyways, I've been Bolt Spider. See you guys in the next video, and goodbye. Also, sorry that I went on a little rant there.